think I was gonna get emotional about this. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Dana coming through with another video. You guys, I know it has been a minute since I've done a chit chat, but let me tell you, this chit chat today has been on my heart for quite a while now, and you guys know what I said before. If it's laid on my heart, I'm bringing it to you guys. So today we are definitely going to discuss the things that I've learned in therapy before becoming a parent, you guys. So it's going to get real juicy. You guys come on in, take a seat, get your drinks, get your popcorn. Let's get right into it. Don't forget though to hit a thumbs up if you guys like videos like this. That way your girl will know to keep them coming. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, you guys. So today's discussion is going to be about what I've learned in therapy before becoming a parent, you guys. This video and this topic is so near and dear to my heart because, as you guys know, I have this beautiful little girl named Ava, and oh my God, when I tell you, she brings me so much joy. But the biggest thing that stands out the most, I say it over and over again, I'm so glad I went to therapy before I had her. And we're going to get right into it. And I'm going to tell y'all why, because it's some things that I totally had to veto before she got here. And I'm so glad the Lord drove me to this path, because if I did not, it would have hurt my heart if me and her stumbled up on the same things that I might have went through in my childhood, because I just didn't get the help that I needed to, make sure that we don't pass down generational curses. We don't pass down things that was passed down generations back that did not serve generations back. So I know it's not going to serve generations forward. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, let's get right into it. One of the biggest things that I will say, therapy. Again, therapy is the best thing that you can do for your child before having them, to just set the tone. Find out, what do you feel that a parent should be? How was your upbringing? How was you raised with your parents? And again, it's the same thing as if you got married. So when you get married, before you get married, they say, do you want to take premarital counseling? That's a huge thing. I think that they should definitely do it when it comes down to parenting, because right next to a spouse, the hugest role you're ever going to play is being a parent. You're pretty much holding the future in your own hands. When I tell you, you're literally rocking the very future. How you raise that child is going to make the difference on how this world is going to be shaped in the future. It's a huge role. So one of the things that I learned in therapy, the biggest thing that I did that serves so much greatness for Ava, or setting her up for her future, is me getting my things straightened out before having her in therapy. It started about a little 3 years ago, and what we did was I just unpacked a lot of my upbringing to help me be a healthier version for her. And again, it wasn't something that I intended on doing. It wasn't like I was going in therapy. I know I'm having a child, so I'm going to therapy. There was things that was kind of coming up that I wanted to sit down with a professional. Let's unpack these things, because something is feeling a little off, and I know it is. I know it don't feel right. I know it's not right, but I'm not quite sure what is it. Where are we going wrong in this? In our religion, in our culture, church and going to church, talking to the Lord is such a huge thing. And even now, I still talk to Lord, I pray. Therapy is not a replacement of God. It's just a tool that the Lord actually directed me to. I feel like I would have never resorted into going into therapy if the Lord didn't direct me by certain ways to get me into it, because I think I realized I was more into the religion part. I was too busy at trying not to offend people. If I talk to a therapist about a certain particular topic, would this rub this person the wrong way? Church black people don't go to therapy and tell people their business. So to me, it was more of the religion part of, okay, and then the people pleasing part. Oh, we don't do this. We don't normally do that. So then I'm not going to do it. And the Lord had to tear down those things from me, that you're supposed to be in a relationship with me, not religion. relationship with me. And so that was the best thing that ever happened, because that's when I was able to start tearing down certain layers. He was able to start uncovering, tearing down certain layers for me. So one of the things that I will tell you, even when she gets older, because I have been through therapy and there was things that I wasn't sure of, I can boldly sit with her that if she has a problem, let's go talk to someone, sweetie. Let's sit down and unpack. Mama might not be able to solve everything for you, but I can definitely hold your hand during this. And she won't feel nervous because she knows, okay, well, mama done been through it. Mama done walked through this herself, so she is good and well versed on, okay, let's sit down and talk to a professional. And the one thing that drives me crazy is, because I don't know if you guys have ever been through this, a lot of the generations just is volts. You almost fall into it by experience, but they don't tell you, like, even in menopause, if it's menopause, yeah, so in menopause you go through this. Ain't nobody communicating, child. Ain't nobody communicating. A lot of these generations just falling up on things by happenstance. And I don't want her to, I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but I do want an open dialogue where she understands if she ever falls up on a problem, mama got tools and resources here for you, boo. Let's go. Let's get it. We oftentimes tell people, family members, our business, and that might be the worst thing that you could ever do, because they're not giving you a solution. Sometimes they don't mean any harm. They'll tell you, oh, just forgive, or just go over there and ignore, but it's not really addressing an issue, which could make it even worse. It could make the person who is pretty much being emotionally, whether it's abused, emotionally burdened, whatever, it can make it worse. So I think it's so important for you to seek professional counseling, and not just saying, okay, well, I just talked to this person who was in the family and they solution was, oh, just get over it, forgive them. You should just let it go and keep it moving. Meanwhile, you still have these things that's going on the inside of you that you feel like need to be addressed. You need to find a resolution for it. Okay, so another thing that is huge that I think is so important is to not abuse my authority as, or my position as, Ava's mom. And that is so important, because one of the things that I think we don't realize when you become a parent is that there is rules and respect that the child have to give the adult, right? But then there is things that can be crossed, or lines can be crossed, when you're a parent with the child. And one of those is to never make Ava responsible for the emotional state of her siblings. So right now, me and Marvin only have her, but in the future, if we decide to have kids, for me to understand as her parent, it's going to be a hard enough job for her to obtain and keep up with her own personal things, than to also be responsible for her siblings. And so although it might be something that I might have experienced, I definitely don't want to put that burden on her or repeat history. So for example, if her siblings don't care too much for whatever decisions she chooses to make, whether it be friends, career, or whatever, they're disappointed, I'm pushing her to change her career or friend or whatever it is because her siblings don't like it. Ava is going to have a hard enough time in life just navigating her own decisions, what she want to do, relationships, whatever have you, than for me to put that amount of pressure on her. You're disappointing your sibling, so you need to just cut it out. You need to do it. No, I am there to be a support of what's good for her. It's not about anybody else, and vice versa. If it was the other siblings, she don't get to predict or control what they choice is supposed to be. She is there to be a support system and a loving sister to them. It's not for her to control or to even put a stance where, oh, I'm upset with you. If you don't change this, then I'm not going to be your family member. That is where we can cross lines, and it's almost where you're dividing your family and you don't even know it. And this is one of those things where I say again, we perish for the lack of knowledge. When you're putting those type of burdens on a relationship or on a person, you're almost wedging a separation, a division in your own home, and you don't even realize it by putting those type of burdens on what a person should do, their personal decision on what they want to do in their life. That is nobody else's decision but that on to that each individual. So again, me understanding as her mom, I'm gonna raise her up as such. She might be friends with somebody that I might not care for. She might have a mate that maybe I might. That's still not my decision to make. That is her decision to see through and find out what she's doing. I'm here to just be a support of her and navigate and see what it is that she want to do. How can I be of service to help her, my baby through whatever it is that she's going through. And furthermore, I think that it's even more me kind of neglecting her to a certain extent, because my job is to be there for all my children, not just the youngest, not just the oldest, not just every last one of them. So to put it even further, I go even further as into now I'm going to hold my place in being her mother in the balance if she don't do those things. If she don't make sure she's there for her siblings' emotional state, or try to please her siblings in an emotional state. I'm telling her now, I'm not going to show up to, your wedding. I'm not going to show up to your graduation. I'm not going to be there for you for your pregnancy or baby shower or any of those things. Now I'm falling in the wrong, because that's really not her job. That's really my job as a parent, to be there for her and even her siblings at this point. So yeah, those are things that I learned in therapy. Again, if you do not seek some sort of counsel, you can paisley pass these things down to your offspring and think that it's okay, and then look up and wonder, why is it so hellish? Why are we not getting along? Why is this another generation that is not getting along among parent to child? Because sometimes as a parent, you can put so much unfair rules in place that you can almost push your children to make a decision they really don't want to make. So now I have to separate from my parent. I would never want Ava to separate from me, because I'm putting in place rules that is terrible. It's almost toxic and neglectful to her. But if you don't go to therapy, you don't know none of these things. A lot of things you won't know. And so again, it don't mean that me and Ava won't have a issue at all, a problem at all in the future, but at least we won't have these issues. And I think that's the most important thing that's almost taboo. And me and my therapist had talked about it. It's so crazy how it's so many families that go through this issue, they go through these topics, where sometimes the parental role can be so overbearing for the child that it almost wedges the relationship to shreds. It almost like you push the child in a corner where they have no choice but to separate from themselves, because it's so unhealthy. It's such a toxic environment that it's impossible for you to uphold. It's impossible for the child to uphold, because the lines was crossed a long time ago. So that is one thing that I always made a vow, that if I can help it, it's not about my ego. It's not about she do what I tell her to do. She needs to do what I tell her to do. It's about, I want a healthy environment for my child. I want a healthy relationship among me and my child. And it doesn't mean we're going to get everything perfect. But what it means is I'm woman enough, I'm big enough to sit down at a table or a chair with somebody to help navigate between me and Ava, so that she won't have to make a hard decision that many families, many children had to make, that almost was unbearable to take. One of the things that I've always realized, and I get why the Lord say, my people perish for the lack of knowledge, is because it oftentimes that can be something that is carried through generations to generations. And I've always felt like, when will we get to a point where we learn from our previous generation's mistakes? It does not mean that they were completely horrible, like it wasn't completely horrible, but at some point, if we've got generations, 3 generations back, the same mistake, and it's still, at some point, we gotta perfect this thing. At some point, we gotta do better. We shouldn't be having the same problems. It didn't work for the generation before me. At this point, I know it's not gonna work for the generation ahead of me. And so I believe that the Lord is at this point where it's like, it's not good enough to say, oh, well, my mother, and my mother's mother, and my mother's mother's mother did this. Somebody gotta be strong enough, knowledgeable enough to seek help that can really help in these areas so that we won't have so many generations going out backwards. You guys, so another biggie that I learned in therapy is there is going to be times where if Ava have a sibling, that they are going to have disagreements. My biggest role in my children's life is to make sure that they respect each other. It does not matter who's the oldest. It does not matter who's the youngest. It don't matter who is the middle child. One of the biggest things that I've seen and sometimes even witnessed myself is that anytime that in a relationship that you don't respect other people's decisions, and that is the biggest thing that I think I'm gonna teach Ava and even her youngest siblings. Ava can be the oldest all she wants. You still have to respect her personal choices. It might not be your choices. You might not like that she's doing XYZ. As long as she's not personally doing it to you, it's something that she wants to do. We have to respect that. Vice versa, Ava has to respect her siblings' choices. There will never come a time where I have to feel like, okay, you know what? I don't agree with that either. We gonna trump over and we gonna band together, and I don't want you talking to your sibling because you don't like what she doing. First of all, is that your sibling's choice to make, or is that your choice to make? If that is your sibling's choice to make, we have to respect whatever decision it is. You might not like it. So what? That's what called life. That's called, because at one point they are going to have to navigate relationship with one another without me being there. And I want to make sure that I train them at an early age to respect each other, regardless, because anybody can get along as long as you like what they're doing. That's easy. You have to almost, like, I'm realizing now, like, and the therapy helped me tremendously. I have to raise her till she understands that even when you don't like what your sibling is doing, and vice versa, the youngest, even if you don't like what the oldest is doing, if it's a decision that she chooses to make, whether it be a friend, whether it be a boyfriend, whether it be a career, whatever it is her or his decision to make. Our job is to support them, and whatever it is, love them unconditionally. That is the assignment. So yeah, I believe if you train a child up while they're younger, you won't go through hard situations when they're grown. You won't be having this giant 20 feet taller than you having a fit, because these are the things that you didn't have those discussions, or really make sure you train your kids to understand, respect other people's things, decisions, whatever it is they do. It's not your choice to make, it's their personal choice to make. You guys, so another thing that I learned in therapy is try to make sure that I'm showing more love than discipline with Ava. And one of the things that I've experienced personally, and I've seen other people experience in childhood and growing up and things, is that, you know, the parent definitely don't want the child to go out the world backwards. They don't want to be raised in a very, where they end up getting in trouble. So you want to discipline them when they're doing something wrong. You want to make sure they're not doing the wrong thing. But in that, I think sometimes the loving side of the parent get lost because they're so focused, zeroed in on this particular thing. And so for me, and I'll give an example, when it comes down to if Ava do something wrong, and sometimes she's going to do, it's inevitable. If you were a child at some point growing up, even in your teens, you're not going to do everything right. You're going to have some things that you do wrong. And again, it's okay to structure your child and deal with your child about those things, but make sure that you're adamant about showing love as well. So if I come to Ava and I'm just like, oh, you know I love you, you should know that I love you already, that's not good enough. She's going to need displays of, okay, I know my mom loves me because me and my mom spend time together. Guess what? Me and my mom, we talk, we communicate, we do all of these bonded things. It's not always a crack the whip over your head type of situation. She's also showing her loving side, that nurturing side of me. So where she feels comfortable to come to me when she has a problem or when there's an issue, she's not scared to come to me about things or talk about tough discussions, because I'm going to be like, all right, time to go upside your head, time to crack the whip, so to speak. Like, you want to have a relationship that is very loving and not so much, okay, so disciplined at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong, Ava is still not going to, I'm still going to have rules. I'm still going to have things in place where, okay, you on punishment because you do something wrong. But I am going to be intentional about showing her love, because I feel like a lot of children result into bad groups because they're not getting the love, they're not getting the support at home. You see a lot of the men. I really, really have my heart out. Oh my God, like I said, I have a brother, so I know. I think I was gonna get emotional about this. I need to take a minute. Whew, okay, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional about this. But to get back on topic, I have a brother, and a lot of, especially the males, um, I feel like they don't feel open enough because it was more discipline. Um, for many reasons, you the man, you got to be tough. You can't show emotions, and it's terrible, because at what point can they put when can they put their guard down? When can they put their head down and just say, you know what, I'm a human being. I have feelings. I just need a soft place to land. I just need somebody. And I feel like the mother, the nurturer of the family, should be the main place where a child should be able to come if they feel, like, neglected, or if they feel like, I don't really know what to do. I don't know in this decision, and not just beat over the head constantly about what it is that they need to do. You're not doing this enough, or why are you crying, or whatever. It's just such a hard, I think we hold such a hard position. And I think what the children need is a loving place, almost a healing place, if you will, for them to be able to land. And unfortunately, it's so many generations that's being taken and just falling victim because of, it's no space there for them to have a vulnerable moment. And like I said, gangs, a lot of people end up going to gangs because guess what? I'm getting more love in this gang than I am even at home. The people at home is cold. They're not loving. They, if anything, they do more things. They get mad so easily, and do things to almost like neglect you, or almost mentally hurtful before they do anything loving. So at this point, and don't get me wrong, I do believe that it's a pattern. So they're getting it from somewhere too. The generations before them, that's what was taught. But we got to break the cycle. We have got to break the cycle somewhere. And although, like I said, I can't fix everything that, I have been through, I can start. And that's one thing I dealt with, and I was able to deal with in therapy. I can start with Ava. So there's some things that I sleep well at night knowing that she will never have to experience, because mama was in therapy, making sure she unpacked a lot of the things that she experienced in childhood and growing up. And mama was in that chair discussing, okay, this is not healthy. This is very toxic. I don't want to pass this down to my child. Even the things that I might not know. Like, because you can be in an unhealthy situation for very long times, but you don't realize that this is very unhealthy. This is not good for any of the generations. That's why it didn't work for any of the generations. And so I do not want to repeat that with her. If I have a son in the future, I want him to know that mama is soft enough and strong enough for you to land on. You can come here and cry about anything. We can talk about anything. I'm not going to be so hard on you that I'm trying to beat you in the head, you need to do this, you need to be a man. And he said, no, I want him to, because I think he'll be a better father. He'll be a better man for his wife, his kids, if I'm not so hard on him. If I can let him know that I'm here if you need any help, we'll figure it out together. He's not going to do everything right. That's what kids do. Even growing older, they're not going to do everything right. And again, it does not mean that I'm not going to have disciplinary things in place, but it will not be to where I'm trying to tear down my own child. That is not the assignment here. And I'm so glad that I have a supporting and loving husband that also agrees with the same thing. We're both on the same page with that. We won't be kicking our children out just because we got upset or because they did something wrong. That is not the way. They need to know that home is where love and forgiveness is held. And that's another thing I never really understood. If I'm impatient with my child and if I'm tearing down my child, I'm so upset when my child does something wrong. Or from that to, okay, I'm not going to be your mother anymore because I'm upset with you. Why would I think I'm raising that up? So I'm raising my child to think that I am not dependable. I'm pretty much, I bail out anytime that they do something wrong. You're going to grow up. You're going to see this child depart from you. So why would I want to teach Ava to, okay, yep, you did something wrong. I'm out the door. I'm darting. I'm not going to be your mama because this and that, because you crossed the line. You did something wrong. No, if anything, I'm here to help navigate these waters with you. And if we got to go get help, that's just what we're going to do. But yeah, so these are things that I learned in therapy. And it was the most enlightening thing. It was the most amazing thing. And I'm so glad that I did it before she got here because I'm crystal clear on my role as her mom. Nobody can change that. Nobody can change me or stop me from being what I need to be for her as her mom. And that's huge. And don't mean mama ain't go through some things. She did. But mama was able to work it out and unpack it in therapy so that I can be an amazing parent to her. And I'm not going to get everything right in the future. But again, we for darn sure not going to be repeating the same problems that mama had to go through. That's for certain. Okay. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Again, it was one of the videos that was laid on my heart. I don't know if there's anyone across this camera that is going through the same thing or maybe experiencing the same thing, but I'm here to tell you that the Lord loves you, and if you talk to him, if you pray to him, he'll get the resources to you. That's what he did for me. There were so many people that was just a beacon of light, a beam of light. Tabitha Brown was one of them for me when I was going through a lot of my things that I just didn't understand before I got to therapy. She would just get on that gram and like shoot it out. So I felt like I owe it to whoever the soul is across this camera to get on here and just to let you know that you are not alone. God loves you. Make sure you get in a church. You pray to the Lord because he cares about you. Go get therapy. I found my therapist at, what was it called, Marvin? What was it called? Straight Talk? Or is it Talk Straight? I always get that confused. I can't remember. I'm going to pop it up right here, though. I found my therapist, and that's been my therapist since then. I love her. I love me some Andrea. When I tell you, she has helped me navigate through deep waters. If y'all saw me before this, I was an emotional wreck, okay? Because, again, I was just so used to being a people pleaser when it comes down to people I love, even when it didn't mean me no good. So when I tell you, get you some therapy, pray to the Lord, I'm telling you, you will not go wrong, okay? So I hope you guys like this video. Hit a thumbs up if you do. That way your girl know to keep them coming. And make sure you subscribe because I'm definitely going to be doing more chit chats, you guys. We're going to get in real deep. I got some stuff coming up. Me and Marvin working on some stuff you guys don't want to miss. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. And till next time, you guys. Bye.